In this video, we're going to cover how to create the Tote project from the construction technology class. The document I'll be referencing is the student handout. So I'll be switching between this screen and the screen from SketchUp. So let's quickly look at the document and see what we need for drawing. So first you need to know what the materials are. The Tote has a pine board, a plywood, rails, it has a hardwood dial, and has nails. For the sake of this online drawing, the 3D nails, the glue, and the sandpaper won't be necessary, but we'll be changing this up and we'll be adding the materials to our project. So as you're reading this document on your own, I highly suggest that you go back and forth and look at the directions, and the directions will tell you what size your stock's supposed to be as you are building your project in SketchUp. Okay, so you really have to practice analyzing this document before you move over to the next one. Okay, but I will be covering this in the video here on the side. So let's jump over to SketchUp. Here's my home screen. We're going to start a new document. Let's keep it in feet and inches. Okay, and just so we don't lose track of it, let's rename this. So let's save as, let's call this, we're going to use this naming style for all future projects. It's going to be the Tote. So the name of the project, underscore your name, underscore and period. So P6. Hit OK. And this should ask you where to save. It's going to take you to your Google Drive. My Google Drive is going to look very different from your Google Drive. And at this point, while we're waiting for it to load, I do want to remind everybody that it's always good practice to look inside your Google Drive and do some house cleaning. Put files where they need to be, put folders where they need to be, so it makes it easier for you to find. So you can see here I have several folders. I'm just going to leave this in my Google Classroom folder, hit select, and I'm done. Okay. So this is web-based, so it does save automatically as soon as you stop. So let's start off by deleting this character here. On your right-hand side, we're going to change our camera angle so everything looks accurate. So we're going to click on Views, and we're going to switch from Perspective View to a Parallel Projection. So this means if I'm looking straight at it, it looks square, as opposed to the tunnel vision perspective. And I always like to start off all my projects from the top view. If you look at this little house, you can see all the different views of this house. So you have the front of the house, top of the house, the back of the house, the left side of the house, the right side of the house, and these corner ones are isometric views. So this would be the view of the house at a 45-degree angle. So let's start with the top. Okay. So the first thing I'm going to do is draw a rectangle. And that is going to be the piece of pine board. So it should be 32 inches in length, which is fine. So let's go ahead and do that. So it should be 5.5 inches. You can see my measurements on the bottom right by 32 inches. Let's undo that. So let me just reverse the numbers. rectangle. Okay, let's try a 32 inch, comma by 5.5. And I know that we're supposed to cut this in pieces. So I'm going to use my measuring tape and start dividing it down. So if we go back to the document, select your pine, the 1 inch by 6 inch by 32. So using a square, mark the pine and at 8.5 inches. So let's go back to this. So I'm going to use my measuring tape. And from the edges, I'm going to click and move over 8.5 inches. So you can type 8.5 inches. That'll work. Click this side, 8 point, let's do the other way, 8 space and a half inches. Gives me the same number, one's a little bit faster than the other, so whatever you're comfortable with, go ahead and use. Okay, so next, we're going to draw that line. So this is, I guess, the building and cutting action that we would have in the shop. And now I'm going to go to the isometric view just so you can see me pulling. Now, right now this is a flat 2D image. I need to give this 3D depth. So we're going to move over to the push-pull tool, and we're going to pull up towards us, which is a distance. Now, as I'm moving this up, if you look on the bottom right, you will see the distance. The pine that we use is 1 inch, but in real life, it's supposed to be 3/4 of an inch. So you could type it in two different ways. You can type in 0.75 of an inch, or you could type in 3/4 of an inch. And this so just makes it a little bit easier. This should be just 0.75 of an inch. So those are my 3 pieces. Now I'm going to highlight, I'm going to go back to the top view. And I am going to try to see if I can separate these. Nope, they're connected. So let's just scratch this idea, and I'm just going to build the pieces one by one. It's always good to try things. Never know, they might work out. So my first piece is going to be 8.5 by 5.5. So 8.5 comma by, let me back up, 8.5 comma by 5.5 comma. So that's my first piece. Let's go back to the home view. Push pull, 0.75 of an inch. Okay, this is starting to look what we need. And then we're going to move over down the line. Okay, same thing. Let's go back to the top view. So it's supposed to be 8.5 inches, comma, by 5.5 inches. Back to home view. pull 0.75, home view, and then we have the difference. So let me add the calculator here. So we had 36 inches minus 8.5 minus 8.5. We have a total of 19 inches left. Okay, let's double check our math here. So we have a 32-inch board minus 8.5 by 8.5. Yep, that makes sense. So bring this number back up. Oh no, there's a mistake. It's supposed to be 32 inches. Minus 4. 15 inches. That's more accurate. Okay. So back to rectangle. So we have 15 inches, comma, by 5.5 inches. Back to the isometric view, and we're going to pull this up. And here's a little shortcut. If you pull something up and you have something that is consistently the same thickness, if you just hover over that face, it'll give you the same thickness. All right, so we have our 3 pieces. Now what I like to do is lock these pieces in so they don't accidentally change while we're moving them around. And let me show you what I mean by that. Once you have your pieces, just like in a shop, you want to put things together, you need to move them around. We do have a tool to move things around, but if you use the move tool when you have something that is not locked in, you can move corners and parts so they'll transform and warp. So we don't want to do that. Control Z, undo that. But if we highlight everything and make it a component and lock it in, that will no longer happen. So highlight the item you want to lock, right click. We're going to make this a component. We're going to call this the bottom. You can put a description bottom of tool tote. And this just makes it easier for you. Or what do you want to glue it to? So we know that this is the bottom, so we want this to always stay flat. So we can select horizontal. So horizontal, left to right, flat. And you'll notice it has a little anchor here now. I'm going to hit OK. So let's try moving that one more time. So let's try moving it. Now it doesn't transform, it just moves where I want it to move. Okay. Let's go ahead and do that for the rest of them. Let me go to the top view so I can get a better view so I could select everything, right click, component. Let's call this the front side. I'll just copy that. Front side of tool. Tool tote. This I know is supposed to be going up and down, so we can lock it in, make it vertical. Let's see if that works. Nope, didn't work, so that's fine. Let me just go back in, edit, component. It doesn't matter. I think we'll be able to fix it later. Scan that. If you hold shift and your mouse button, you can pan over easier. If you just use the center mouse button, you'll just rotate things. So it's a nice little shortcut. So try it again. Shift, mouse, select everything, make it a component. And I'm going to call this the back of back tool tote. Oh, backside. And backside of tool tote. And let's just leave it as, let's keep it vertical too. All right, back to this view. All right, so let's go ahead and move this into position. So if you hit the move command, you'll see there's these little anchor points where you can grab and move it around. So let's move that close. I think this is supposed to be the front side. This is supposed to be the back side. And we need to rotate this. So let's check if there's a tool here. Yep, there's a rotate tool. So I'm going to select, let me zoom in here. With my rotate command, I'm going to select this corner here. Trying to get this corner. Let's see if I can do it from this side. There it is. So click there, and I want to rotate this up. And if you want this to be flat, you can slowly move your mouse, it'll click in place. Or if you know your degrees, just type in 90, and there it goes. And since in this view it's a little bit easier to see it, so shift, I'm going to pan over. I'm going to do the same thing here. $90. Okay, looking better. Back to my move tool. And now I want this corner and that corner to match. Grab that other corner. All right, looking good. Okay, next, the sides of the tool tote. Okay, let's go back to our top view. Shift, back to our rectangle command. So I believe we have two. Escape out. Let's go to the instruction. So the pine is complete. We cut it down. We'll come back to the angle cuts, but I believe for the plywood, we're supposed to cut it down, and we should have a 2 16 by 4 inch pieces. Okay, we don't have to worry about the 32 and 1/8 because we're building this online, so this could be exact. So let's go back to this. So we have a piece here that is 16 inches, comma, by 4 inches, and enter. Shift, move over. So 16 inches, comma, by 4 inches, enter. Okay, perfect. Let's go back to the isometric view, and we're just going to pull these. So let's go ahead and pull this up, It's supposed to be a 1/4 inch. So let's go ahead and type in a 1/4 inch. So you can either type in 0.25 of an inch. And remember, you can also pull to this face. And just for the sake of clarity, I could type in 1/4 of an inch. Those are my pieces. Let's go back to the top view. Shift, center mouse button, and let's go ahead and select this. And let's go ahead and select that here. Make that a component. Let's call this left side. Left side tool tote rail. I think we did vertical for the other one, so that's fine. Select everything, right click, make component, right side tool tote rail. Let's keep it vertical, hit OK. Let's go to the front side. Actually, let's go to the right side. So we need to rotate this coming towards us. So most likely, let's try the front side. Nope, right side. Yeah, that'll work. So we're going to use, let's move one of these out of the way. We're going to use our rotate command again. Let's go here so it's a little easier to view. Click that, and we're going to rotate 90 degrees. Same thing over here. Click that. Oop, let's try the other way. $90. Back to our pointer. Let's go back to ISO 1. So let's see, is this the front or left side or right side? Well, this is the left side. So this little entity info, click on that, it'll tell you what it is. So that's the reason why we label things. That way you don't get confused. So this should be the back side, front side, perfect. So left, let's go ahead and select our move tool. And we're going to get this corner and we're going to line it up with that corner. Control C, make sure. Try that again. I think I still had the other one selected. So find that corner, pointer. Let's move that closer. If you ever need to get a good fixed view, you can always select zoom all. Gets you right in there. Okay, and let's move one more time. And I want this corner to line up with that corner. Oh, so let's look at this. So it looks like we're short, which is fine. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to cut this back down so everything matches. So luckily we have some online tools here that could tell us quickly how much we're supposed to cut off. So let's go back to the front side And we're going to use our measuring tape, our dimensions here, and I'm just going to measure the distance from here to here. So I need to make the board 1/2 inch shorter. One more time. You got measuring tape, then you pick dimensions. We're going to go to the front side, get a good view. We're going to pick this point to that point. It's about 1/2 inch. And I'll leave that there just so you can see how it changes. Well, I need to modify this. So what to do? So let's go back to selecting. Let's select this and let's modify it. Let's change it. So I'm going to right click and edit component. And you'll notice that everything else is grayed out except that. Okay, so we'll edit this in a second. Let me just find the display. Let's go to, do we have X-ray mode here? No, we don't. Trying to see if there's a shorter way to do this. Display. Nope, so that's fine. So let me just go ahead and delete this. And we're just going to move this out of the way so we could see. And let's go back to our pointer. We're going to select this and we're going to edit component. Now, I'm going to cut this by using our push-pull tool. I'm going to pick the face that I want to cut away. So I'm going to select here. And as I'm selecting it, if you look at the bottom right, you'll see a distance. So I want this to be shortened. And you'll see like a negative direction there. So let's make this -1/2. Or actually, let's just undo that. Let's just type in 1/2. Okay. Let's go ahead and close this back down. Just exit out, escape, escape. All right, let's move that back in there. So hit move. So you want, this is where you have to get creative with your views. You want this to go in there. So is there a way I could move this closer? Let's see if we could just hide this. So I'm going to right click and hide for a second. And we're just going to move that over. All right, there we go. So I unhit all and we're fine. So let's go look at this at the front side again. Perfect. Let's see if everything lines up. I'm going to go to hidden geometry. Oh, guess I gotta pick that. That's fine. Everything looks like it's lined up. Okay. So those are all our pieces. So now we have to go back and start cutting things off from the front side and back side. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to select the face we're supposed to cut off, right click on it, and we're going to edit component. Go on the right side here so I can see it. So I know that I have to connect the dots here and cut off these ears. So let's use our measuring tape here. And I believe we're supposed to go up 4 inches. And I believe we're supposed to go 1 inch from the edge. 1 inch. That looks a little off. So let me undo. Let's go back to the instructions. Angled cuts. So look at this piece to the side, determine each end on top. Okay, find and mark the center. And we're gonna measure 1 1/8 from each side. Okay, so let's do that. So I'm just gonna use my measuring tape here, click here at the side, and I'll draw a line. Now if you move over and hover over, SketchUp is smart enough to pick up the center. So here's the center. Then from the center, I just need to move over 1 1/8 of an inch. Click here, move over 1 1/8 of an inch. And now I have my angles. Perfect. So let's go ahead and use a pencil, connect the dots. So we have here, and we have here. Okay, back to my pointer, and I'm gonna put this back to ISO 1, and we're gonna cut by using push-pull one more time. So let's go ahead and pull. And there it is. So I'm just gonna go in order. I'm not gonna do the whole yet. So let's just click on that, right click, close component. And let's go ahead and edit that component. And you'll see that I'm reusing some of my old geometry. So I'm just going to draw that. Oops, drew it on the wrong face. Let's move it over to this backside. Nope. Well, those geometry lines are still there. Let's see if I could grab them. No. All right, let's just redraw it. It's fine. So we know that from the edge, we're going to find the center. There's our center. And we move over 1 1/8, 1 1/8, an inch, 1 1/8 of an inch. And now we just connect the dots one more time. Let's go back to our cutting, push pull. I'm going to rotate this a bit. So I'm just going to push this away until it disappears. Push. Perfect. We'll exit it out, escape. And let's look at the front side. Yep, everything lines up. Okay, let's go back to this one and edit this. So let's go back to our instructions. Okay, center, a whole center marks. Okay, now reviewing this, we're supposed to cut a hole that is 3/4 of a bit. Okay. And it should measure 1 inch down from the side piece. Okay, so we got 1 inch down and a 3/4 bit. So let's use our measuring tape again. Pick this top edge. We'll go down 1 inch. And there's a center. Okay. Let's go over here to our drawing tools. There is a circle command. Here's a circle. Just going to open that up and okay, here's a little bit of geometry terms. On the right hand side, you'll see that as I'm opening up this circle, it's reading in radius. Radius is a geometry term. It describes the length of a circle from the center to the edges. When we drill a hole, it's the length all the way through, so it's 2 radiuses. So 3/4 you would have to divide in 3/8. So we just have to type in 3 divided by 8. 3/8 radius will create a 3/4 hole. Okay. And you can always check that if you're unsure. You could probably measure it. 3/4 diameter. So there you go. Okay. Let's go ahead and cut away that as well. Lock that in. Go ahead and edit this one as well. Rotate. And all we're doing, we're going to use our measuring tape again. From the edge, move down 1 inch. We're going to create a circle. Click. And we're going to pick 3/8. It's already picked for me. I guess if you move slow enough, it'll do the increments. Back to this. Let's rotate it a bit. Let's cut it out. Click on that. Let's close the group. Well, something went wrong with this, so let's go ahead and undo that. Try that one more time. Push, pull, make sure there's no gray. If you have gray, it's going to give you some problems later. We want this to be all the way through. That's what we want. Oh, looks like I still didn't go all the way through. So let's go ahead and push, pull. Let's go and pick this edge. There it is. It went all the way through. Close group. Let's get a better view of that. Okay. All right, next we would need to create a dowel. So this is in great shape. I want to leave this alone. So let's go ahead and just lock this into place. So I'm going to select everything, but I don't want to select these other guidelines, these measuring tape lines. So let's go ahead and unselect guides. And we're going to highlight everything here. And we're going to make this into a group. So similar to component, when you make things a group, you lock them in, you're not able to change them. So let's make that a group. I could do tools, it won't change anything. You see everything has a red hash mark. I'm not able to do. So the only thing I'm able to do really is just move it, rotate it, and we haven't gone over this, and we can scale it up, make it bigger. So let me just move this back to the origin. Let's go back to this. I just want to move this right at the origin. Okay. So now we need to create a circle, pull it out until we get our rod. Now, we could just follow the directions here. Let's see here. Let's scroll down. Our dowel, 3/4 long, it should be no longer than the bottom piece. So we have to measure. So let's go back to this and measure. So let's pick the right side of this. There we go. So we're going to use our measuring tape and use dimension. And we're just going to measure the distance from here to here. So our dowel should be 1 foot 4 inches, which is 12 inches plus 4 inches, which is 16 inches. Okay, so let's go ahead and pick a different side. And I'm going to pick this side. I'm just going to create a circle here. Now, usually, you could pick things here. If it's not working, you could just pick the corresponding side. So let's go ahead and just pick this. I want this to be 3/8 because it's supposed to be 3/4. So it's already made it. So if not, you could put 3 divided by 8 inches. And I am going to push pull this 16 inches. I'm going to select this. I'm going to right click this and make this a component, horizontal, and this is the dowel tool, or dowel for tool tote. Hit OK. And you'll notice now, because it's a group, it's a little bit easier to manipulate. It's now in a rectangular cube. So let's go ahead and move this. And this should just drop into this. Let's try getting some different views. And there it is. It's in. Okay, so there's a couple things left to do to finish this up. Let's go ahead and go back to each of these components and we're going to change them. So let's go and edit the group, and we're going to edit each piece. So we know that the front and back side and the bottom are supposed to be pine. So why don't we change it to a pine material? So let's go ahead and edit component. And we're going to add material to this. So there's a material command here. If you hover over materials, let's go ahead and find it. So there are some options here. Oh, here's wood. If you hover over them, it should give you a description of what it is. I'm gonna go with this yellow one here. It looks like pine. Oh, no, that looks ugly. Yeah, that looks a little bit better. Let me just escape out of this. Let's see if I could just do this with one move. Let's just pick this one again. Yeah, perfect. So you don't have to pick all the sides. As long as you pick the component, you should be able to color what you need. Okay. And we have this here. Looks good. And we have a final piece. Let's make that hardwood. Perfect. And here is your finished project. All right. Last thing, I just want to confirm all the dimensions match. So we already have one major one. We have this, the total length. I would like everybody to go to the different sides and measure them. So let's go ahead and do that. So let me pick the front side of this, and we're just going to add a couple more dimensions. So the total height, 8.5. Okay. The height of the hardwood. Okay, that's good. And I should have the thicknesses. Now, this is hard to read. If you hover over this, you can move the text position. Let's move that outside. And let's just keep checking. Let's go outside. Okay. Now let's go to this other side. And let's measure that. So let's measure this part right here. That should be 5.5. Let's measure that total outsides. Actually, let's not do that. Let's measure this here. Move that outside in. Let's try that again. Oop, wrong dimension. I do want that there, but I need to move this other one on the outside. All right, let's zoom in for a better view. There it is. Not complying. Let's do the other side. There it is. And let's dimension the outside of this. Move that to the outside as well. And just keep, all I'm checking is that all your cuts are correct. So we should have this dimension here. Actually, no, it should be from the center. Center here. Perfect. And then we have another one from here to the center of it's not really picking it up. I'll take 5/8. Plus that should give me 5/8 plus 3/8 will give me 1 inch, so that's fine. All right. I think those are the major dimensions. So let's go back to the document. Those are taken care of. You got the 8.5s. Got the 4. You got the 1 1/8. Oh, we need to use the 3/4. So let's go back here. See if we could dimension that. See if I could pick the sides of this. There it is. Okay, that'll work for the dowel. 3/8. I know it's supposed to be 3/4. See if I can still grab that dimension by trying to. Nope, won't work. All right, so now we're done. So if I get this view here, I should see all your dimensions. Let me zoom all. Yep, this is a great view. See all the major dimensions. I can see that it's perfectly cut. So at the completion of your project, if it looks like this, you'll get full credit. Okay. Expect other projects to be recreated, and expect future projects to be created 100% on SketchUp. I hope this video was helpful. Remember, you can always pause this video and go step by step. The more you use this free software, the easier it becomes. Have a nice day, and we'll talk to you soon.